the record one by one and display that. You can able to fetch the record. You can able to insert into different table. You can able to update the information. You can able to delete. You can able to perform anything in the that loop state. Okay, whatever the things you are performing in the cursor, so that are all performing the record by record. Okay, so record by record. So this is the simple program, create or replace. Okay, so this is the so yesterday you written the program with the normal basic loop. Okay, you use the basic loop. This is the normal loop. This is the normal loop you created with the yesterday. So you created the program with the normal basic loop. Now we are going to use the for loop, cursor for loop. Okay, so now I am taking this query. Now I am taking this query. So I am verifying it. My employee table is having information or not. My employee table does not have any information. Okay, so I am creating the employee table and department table. So I copied that and I created the things. Okay, now we have the employee table information. Okay, what I am performing here. So what I am performing here. So simply I am declaring the cursor. How the normal cursor I have declared. Okay, so I haven't opened the cursor here. I haven't closed the cursor here. Simply I declare the cursor. I am using the for loop. I am using the for loop. So what the for loop will okay, simply I declare okay, so simply I declare the cursor. Okay, so this I have declared in this. Okay, so what I am performing here, so I haven't opened the cursor. How the normal cursor you are using. Okay, this is the cursor for loop. It's not the simple cursor. It's a cursor for loop. Okay, whatever the cursor you are performing here, that with the for loop. Okay, so we no need to open the cursor in this place. Simply pass that cursor name. Pass that cursor name in this place. Okay, so what will happen here? So the basic cursor loop, so for loop is for I in okay 1.2. So meaning the cursor will start with the first loop and it will go for the second iteration. If you put like a 10, so it will start with number 1 counter value is 1 until you will get the 10th value. It will go for the how many iterations we have in between. This is the lower bound. This is the upper bound. Okay, how many iterations we have in between this range, that many iterations it can perform the for loop here, correct? So in this way, what will happen here? So if I put like that cursor name in this for I in, okay, cursor name you mention simply. So what will happen? So how many records we have in this select query? How many records we have in this select query? That many times that cursor can loop that. Okay, so after looping like it, first it will go for the first record. Okay, this variable, so this variable is having the data, all the employee information about the first record in the first state. Okay, so this I is the variable to store the, how you are storing that one while fetching the information in the normal cursor. Wait, I will copy the normal cursor thing and we will see. Taking the new editor tab. Okay, so this is the normal cursor. Okay, this is the normal cursor. So what you are performing here, whatever the cursor having the columns, you declare the variable and fetching the information, fetch the cursor name, fetch the cursor name into that variable you are mentioning here. Okay, so now that the information is storing into these variables. Okay, now this information is storing into these variables. Now I am changing this into select star from employees. How that I'm mentioning in this for loop. So in the similar way, I'm doing it. Okay, now I remove this. Okay, so yesterday what we did here. So simply declaring the v underscore cur underscore emp is the variable which is used to emp percentile row type. Okay, so whatever the things we have in the select query that has been declared as a table with the cursor name. Okay, so the same table I am building as a replica variable. It's a cursor variable to store the cursor results into some variable. So this is the variable I am building here. This is the variable I am building here. Okay, so okay, I am taking this variable. Okay, so I am taking this variable open cursor. You are opening the cursor here and fetching the data and storing into this. And storing into this. Okay, now all the cursor record values is going to store in this variable. Correct? So in the similar way, what is happening here? In the similar way, the cursor is declared here with the cursor name. Okay, so you haven't declared any variable here. Okay, so you are performing the basic loop. To perform the basic loop, you no need to. So you need to mention the exit statement. So that's why you will use the. That's why you will use the some I equal to I plus 1. You can declare some variable to take the count. Okay, to take the count. So when we need to exit the loop, that you can mention in this using cursor attributes you are mentioning here. Okay, so whereas in the for loop, okay, whereas in the for loop, so you simply taking that cursor variable, cursor name and passing into this. Meaning, so whatever the select query we have in this, whatever the select query we have in this, that is passing in this place. That is passing in this place. So now that all the select query result is going to stored in this variable. In this variable. Okay. So loop will perform the one by one record. Okay, for first iteration, it is in first iteration, it is taking the first record. Okay, in the second iteration, taking the second record. So in the similar, it is performing that. See, now we can display that. Okay, now I'm creating the procedure. Okay, now I'm creating the procedure. So I'm getting the error. So what that error? PLSQL statement ignored, missing in keyword. So where it is showing 9 bar 1. So line number 9. Table the line numbers. Okay, for I in. I dot employee number.
The begin before employee after semicolon.
Okay, nice catch, man. Okay, so now the procedure is compiled. Okay, now I am executing this. Now I am executing this. See, whatever the information we have, we are displaying that information one by one records. Okay, how you are performing with yesterday's in the basic loop that you are performing here, but you are not following like all steps here. Simply declaring the cursor, passing that cursor name into the select for loop, and you are not using any cursor attributes to exit the loop. It simply exit the loop because for loop is the limited number of loop it. So how many iterations you need to perform that you need to mention. So once it reaches that maximum number of iterations, it will come out of the loop. Okay, major difference is that, right? Basic loop and for loop. So that is working here. So you don't need to mention anything here. Okay, so now we are using in this way. This is the cursor for loop. Okay, so you no need to declare the cursor. You no need to declare the cursor. Simply you can pass this select query. Okay, you can pass the select query. I'm putting in the comment. These two lines I'm putting in the comment. So instead of cursor variable, simply this is what is happening exactly in this. So previous example also, this is what is running here. Simply, okay, now the procedure is compiled. So I don't have any cursor. Okay, I compiled, I put it in the comment. Okay, now I compile the procedure. Now I'm executing it. Okay, so without cursor, what are the things you are performing in the select cursor declarative statement? That and simply I pass it as a select query in this statement. Now this whole select query result is stored in this variable. Okay, so for each iteration, it is taking one record and displaying to you. Okay, so this is about the cursors. Okay, this is about the cursors. We have any other things? Okay, we can able to perform the while loop also. You can able to perform while loop also, similar kind. So mostly majority of the cases we will go with the cursor for loop or basic loop, no while loops. Okay, so I written the examples. I will share this document. So there is some requirement here. There is some requirement here. Okay, so these are the three tables we have: student table, marks table, modules. Okay, marks, modules. Okay, now I need to display the. So I need to display the students who are passed. Okay, if we have like 5 subjects, so the student must and should be passed like all 5 subjects. Then only you can make it as a pass. So if any one of the subject is failed, then you can treat like as a fail. That you need to make it as a query. You need to write a procedure to display the employee information whether the employee, sorry, the student is failed or passed. You need to make that. Will you be able to do that? I don't know like what the things you can perform, but I need that results like, so the employee student number 20060102. So Dykins. So he's having the information like here 80, 65, 50. We have three subjects here. Okay, so he face actually he have that more than the 50%. Okay, so who have the less than 40%, less than 40 or less than 40, 50? Those employees are, so those students are failed. Those students are failed. So I need that information. I need that information. So I no need to display like a student marks. Okay, else you can display the things like this. So take this. Number. Okay, so if we have the subjects like a S1 or S2, results. So what the student number we have 1, okay, 50, 60, like a 50. So he has the results like a pass. Okay, so now you don't have data in this way. Now your data is in this. So what is horizontal, right? This is horizontal. So now your data is in the vertical. Actually, your data in the vertical format. See, student number. So module code, meaning is subject code. Subject code marks. CMM 001 marks. CMM 02 marks. CMM 01 marks. Okay, so treat like I said, this is a student number. Okay, now we have the data in the vertical format. Now I need to display the data horizontal with the results. Okay, so to like right 70. So right. This is what is happening, right? So the results will be so like this. Okay, now I need the data in this way. Student number, okay, student number, and as well as student name. Okay, surname. So your initial. This is your forename in the sense main name. Okay, so I need that information like this. Surname and both names if need to mention like a forename. So if I have like my surname is Vasanta, my name is Shiva. So I need to make it like I say Shiva Vasanta. Shiva Vasanta. Shiva dot Vasanta maybe. Okay, I need the first name dot last name. I need to display as a name. So we have here two different columns. I need to make it as a one individual column for that. I need to make it like as a one individual column for that. Now I am adding with another column. Insert where it is. Okay, so name. So name will having the so first name data. Last name. I need to display in this way. Okay, that is another thing. And I need to display the subject name. Subject code we have here. In this we have the subject code. This is the module code. I need the module name as well. Databases, operating system, graphics. So what are the things we have? What are the subjects we have? We need to display that. So we have the subject code here, S1, S2, S3. I need that information like a, so databases. Okay, I need the subject names in this way. Will you be able to do? Will you able to do? So if did anyone haven't understand, kindly let me know now itself. I can explain the things once again. Okay, so I need this report. If you really understand the cursor's concept by you, you can able to do with the, you need to use the joins conditions, you need to use some other functions as well. You need to use the list aggregator function, or you need to use the case statement. You need to use the case statements. Okay, so you are converting the rows into columns. For that, we can able to perform with the two ways, either pivot, okay, either case statement. Using case statement, you can able to perform that. So try to perform that. Okay, so how the things are, it will perform using case. I'm showing on some example here. Okay, so I'm cancelling like a editor group. Okay, so treat like as a select star from employee, we have the employee information. Now I need the employee information in this way. Okay, department wise, how many employees I have? Department wise, how many employees I have? Okay, so then what you will do? Count down EPT number. You need the count for that. Start, you will get the error. Okay, so you need to put that into group by the group by the EPT number. Now you are getting in this way, so vertical. Now I need the data in the form of horizontal. Now I need to convert this rows into columns. Now I need to convert these rows into columns. Okay, how can we do that? I will show you one example. Based on that, you can perform with your task. Okay, so okay, so now we have the three department numbers here. We have the three subjects. Okay, so if we want to make it like that, so case when DEPT number equal to 10, then so what we have, the employee number. So we need to find out the employee number. So employee number. Okay, and okay, so mention like a number 10. Number DEPT number. So what the error we have here? Okay, what the error we have? DEPT number underscore 10. Did you got? So if you are providing the any name that starts with alphabetical, not with the numerical. So if you are trying to start with the numerical, you will get the error. Okay, keep in mind. Okay, now we have the information here. See, now we have the information here. So for 10th department, you are getting the information in this column. So the remaining details you are getting null. Okay. So in the similar way, now I am putting another column. Putting another column with D. Now I am displaying with this both. See, now we are getting the 10th information in this first column, 20th information in the second column. So we have the third department as well. Keep that as a third thing as well. Okay. So okay, so whatever the information we have, that information is sorted down like the first three records we have in this, second 20th in this, 30th in this. Okay, so how many records we have? We need to count this. Okay, if we use the count function, count of column name, what will happen? So if the column having the null values, it ignore the null values and it count the number of values. Okay, it count the number of values. So simply I'm using directly like this. Count of. Okay, count of. Okay, we don't need to use anything here. We don't need this. Simply use the count of. So department 10 is having 3, 20 is having 5. This. So this is the way now you need to convert the data subject wise marks and you need to compare. And you need to compare with that using another case statement on top of this. Okay, first you need to convert the subjects. Okay, first you need to convert the subjects like so what that we have what we have the student ID, student number. So you need to put the group by student number. Take that. So subject wise marks with the student number. So in this way. Okay, perform the task and come back by tomorrow with answers. Okay, this is your task for today. Anyone having any doubt, kindly let me know. I can try to post this video as it is without editing. So today we don't have Sai, so we cannot able to edit anything. Simply I can upload directly this. Okay, so see, take this screenshot and create the tables what the data we have and perform the same actions. I have the script, I am not able, I can't provide the script for you. So for the hands-on experience, you need to create yourself the tables and need to insert yourself. Okay. So once you entered into the organization, so you are always checking for the simple ways, so shortcuts. So for learning time, you need to use more and more. You need to play with all the commands. Okay, this is about the cursors. This is about the cursors. Okay, so let's start with the triggers. Okay, let's start with the triggers. So what is the use of triggers? Okay, so triggers. So triggers will help you. Okay, what is trigger? What are the types of triggers we have? What is the purpose of trigger in the database? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. So I forget to say it like a few attributes. Okay, few attributes. I need to say it like I need to explain some other attributes in this. Okay, so we have the attributes. Percentile font. Okay, if the cursor is having the results, if the cursor is having the results, in the first iteration you will get the, if you have 15 rows, the first iteration you will get the cursor font percentile, C1 percentile font. It displays the true. It displays the Boolean values, true, false. If the cursor is having the data, it displays the true. If the cursor does not have the data, so if we use the percentile not found, it will display the true. It will display the true. So if cursor is how many records updating, inserting is performing. So if you want to find out that, you will use the percentile row count. Percentile row count. Okay. So percentile is open. Okay, percentile is open. So the cursor is open. So yesterday we written the cursor. So first we declare the cursor and we created and open that. We haven't fetched any information. Okay, after fetching that, we haven't closed for some time. Okay, so in that case, if we use that, like to take the so cursor is opened or not, if you want to find out. If we use the C1 percentile is open, it will show the true for that. It will show the true for that. So is open will help you to, the cursor is in open mode or closed mode. This is the attribute. So for implicit cursor, is open is always false. Implicit cursor, so that will be always false. Because so once it start the process until the results end, then only the process will come out of the process. You cannot able to check that cursor, implicit cursor is in open mode or closed mode. So it always false. It always false. So whereas in the explicit cursor, so if the cursor in the loop, you can able to use this is open. So you need to use the explicitly close cursor name. Prior that, if we use that, it will give the true for that. Okay. Okay, so these are all things I have mentioned here. So is open, always return false for implicit cursor. Is open, always false for the implicit cursor because Oracle closes the SQL cursor automatically after executing its associated select statement. Meaning is that. So if we are using selection from employee, so once it started running, so once it is starting to display the records, it fetch one by one, so it won't come out of the process. So all the records get complete, then only that it come out of the process. So it automatically close the cursor, then it will come out of the process. You don't have option to check with this. So for that reason, it is shows like a always false. Okay. So that is about the cursors. It's a very important. So try to work more and more with more ways. So conditional statement, loops, okay, for loop, while loop. So you can check with your end. Okay, so now we'll see about the triggers. Okay, so we'll see about the triggers. So otherwise we will finish out the exceptions. So else we will go with the triggers. What the best way? Okay, so let's finish with the triggers. Let's finish with triggers, and we already seen somewhat about the exception, how to handle that. Okay, how to handle that. So keep on mute, man. Someone is on mute. Okay, so what is trigger? So people know, right? So how to handle the exceptions? We'll use the exception and the exception block with when class and use the exception name. We have a lot of three different exceptions. So I will show you by tomorrow. Okay, with that. Okay, now we'll see. However, we open this trigger concept. We'll complete this. Okay, what is trigger? What are the types of triggers we have? What is the purpose of trigger in the database? Okay, we are going to see that. Okay, so trigger is a named PLSQL block which are stored in the database. How the procedure is going to stored in the database? In the similar way, it is a named block. It is a named PLSQL block, named block. Okay, how the procedure you are mentioning with some name. In the similar way, it is also a PLSQL block with a named block as a trigger. So you are mentioning like procedure name. Now we are saying like a trigger name. Trigger name. Okay. So triggers are specialized store programs. Okay. Inside the triggers, we can able to perform the DML operations. In the procedure, inside the procedure, you can able to perform the DML operations. So whether you can able to use the DDL commands or not in the trigger, we'll see. Okay, we'll see. So which are automatically executed or filed when some event occurs. So the procedures, whatever the things you are writing the code in the procedures, that procedure need to execute manually. That procedure need to execute manually. Okay, so whereas in the triggers, if we use the trigger, that triggers can automatically execute. The triggers can automatically execute. So if the trigger event occurs, so what is the meaning of event? So I will show you. Okay, so these are the triggers we have. These are the triggers we have. So trigger, DML trigger, DDL trigger, system trigger, instead of you trigger, compound trigger. Okay, so majorly we will work on the DML trigger. As a developer, so the developer can work in the DML trigger. Okay, so DML trigger Yeah. So trigger. So triggers, we have different types of triggers. So I will explain about the event. So before that, so we have the DML trigger. So DML trigger in the sense. So we have DML, meaning itself we have the insert, update. What are the DML commands we have? Insert, update, delete. Okay, insert, update, delete. Okay, so insert, update, delete. So whatever the things you are performing, so when you are performing the DML operation on the table, the DMLs will happen with the table. Okay, when you are performing the DML operation on the table, so the trigger will automatically fire. Okay, the trigger will automatically fire. So the stored procedure. So when you are performing the DML operation in the stored procedure, so it is not firing automatically anything. Okay, whereas in the trigger, so if you are performing any DML operations, so if you want to perform any other action, that action code you will put into the trigger, so it perform automatically that action. Okay. So we have the DDL trigger. So when you are performing like a DDL triggers, what DDL commands, what we have: alter, drop, truncate, rename, revoke. Okay, these are all we have. So whenever you are performing any those type of actions in the table, on that time the trigger need to be fired automatically. So we'll use the DDL trigger for that. So when if you want to perform the DML operations, in that time if you want to perform any other action, parallel action. So if you are inserting the data into some employee table, I need to store that information into some different table. Okay, in that case, so I'm performing some parallel action. Okay, parallelly. So after finishing that, I am pushing into some other table. Or before pushing into employee table, I need to store into some other table. Okay, so in Tirumala there is some two temples. If you want to visit the main temple, prior that you need to visit the Varaha Swami. In the similar way, if you want to store that information before inserting to the data actual table, prior that you need to insert into the some other table, then you can insert into main table. So you can put the lot of restrictions based on your requirement. Okay, so we have the system triggers. System triggers will help you. So while database gets started, okay, so while starting your business like a bank business, so the bank software will start on the 9:30 of India time. Then only you can able to start with the so operations in the bank. So once it reached the 4:30 or 3:30, so the operations get closed. Okay, so those type of operations will happen with the triggers, system triggers. Log on, log off, start up, start down. So database is when you are going to start the database, that is the startup. If you want to put any command, so if you are trying to start the your server, so prior to the 9:30, you need to raise the exception. Only is the startup. So if you are going to start the business, so you are going to set down the database on the business hours. You need to get the raise the exception. Okay, so while you are logging into the system, the bankers can log in into the system. So before 9:30, he or she trying to log in into the system, we need to get the error. Okay, so those type of things will happen with this. So these type of things will we can able to achieve with the system triggers. Okay, so instead of you trigger, so instead of you trigger will work on the views. So how the things if you want to perform the complex views, if you have the complex view, in that you are trying to insert or update. You want to perform any DML operation on the complex view, we need to use the instead of you trigger. Instead of you trigger. So I already explained while discussing about the views. Okay, compound trigger. So compound triggers. So compound, how the composite key we are mentioning, composite primary key, composite index. So if you are creating the any index based on, so more than one column, we can call it as a composite index. If we create the constraint, so primary key, so if you are creating primary key on one column, you will say normal primary key. If you create more than one column, that we can say composite primary key. So in the similar way, so in the similar way, the DML triggers, so if you are creating the trigger, more than one trigger on the table, so that all the code you are keeping into same trigger body, So that we can call it as a DML, compound DML trigger. So compound trigger. Okay, so we'll see what is the event here. So what is the event here? We'll see. So you are triggering the operation here. Okay, you are going to the ATM and you are trying to, withdraw the money or deposit the money. You are triggering some event here. So if you are trying to insert, you are trying to withdraw or deposit the money, what will happen? So the transaction, it inserts some data into the transaction table. If you withdraw also, deposit also, it insert the data into that and perform the account balance. What the account balance we have? If you are using the withdrawal transaction, if you are performing withdrawal transaction, the account balance minus withdrawal transaction amount be adjusted with the account balance. Okay, if you are depositing, so the deposit balance with account balance get updated with the actual account balance. Okay, so update balance. So you are performing the transaction, you are performing the trigger as a transaction. So the transaction is updated with this statement. Okay, so while updating this, to update that, so PLSQL block trigger will send the, so after updating this balance, okay, this is the current balance. This is your updated balance. You will get some SMSs. So that code will send to the PLSQL block. Okay, so you can able to send the mails using the Oracle. UTL_SFTP, we have some package. So using that, we can able to send the SMSs directly. Okay, so you will send the SMSs to the users. Okay, so then, so you will get the SMSs in from this place to this place. Your mail or mobile. Okay, so now we'll see the other thing. You will get the what is the event. Okay, so the event can be a DDL or DML or system events. So if you are using so majorly we will work on the DML trigger, not any other triggers. Okay, so while inserting, updating, deleting, these three are the events of the DML trigger. So insert, update, delete. These are all the DML events. DDL events will be create, alter, drop. These are all the DDL events. Okay. The system events we mentioned in this way. So system events, log on, log off, start up, start down. Okay. Okay. That is about the event. So the trigger code is automatically when an associative event happens in the database. Okay. So if you are inserting the data into the table, so if you want to perform like what the action I need to perform for that, so then it automatically happens with that. Because the trigger is automatically fired. How the DDL commands are auto committed. The DMLs are the non-auto committed. Okay, how the thing is happening in that way, this trigger is automatically fired. When the relevant event is occurred. Okay, so that is about that. So what is the purpose of the triggers we'll use in the database? So auditing in the sense. So now you open the account in some next bank. Okay, you are performing some operations in that. Okay, after some days you are updating some information as a like a address change, phone number change. Okay, phone number change. So is there any correction like PAN card number change, something like? Okay, you are trying to perform those type of actions in account. Okay, so you are saying like you did the action, but you are saying like I haven't performed that action. I haven't performed that update thing at my end. So why it is showing like a different address? So I haven't updated my information. Why it is happen with a different address? So you are trying to blame them. Okay, for that there is a valid proof for you. Okay, so when you came to me, so when the data is updated, so if I put some log file, if I put some log information, so whatever that information I have in the first state, I have this so Kadapa address. In the second state, I have the Kurnool address, and third state I have the Hyderabad address. Again, I went to the Kurnool. Okay, you forget that you visited the like Kadapa, Kurnool, Hyderabad. Again, you went to the Kurnool. So I haven't visited the Hyderabad. How you are saying like I say, so current address is a Kurnool. So you are in the Hyderabad. So it is showing a Kurnool address maybe. So there may be some discrepancy. Okay, so in that time, so you have the proof when you updated with the, so this is the first address, and second you updated with this, and third updated with this. So these two are the previous address. Okay, after that you updated this. Okay, you if you maintain the log information, got it? Audit log. So the name itself. So to monitor the any information about the customer, about the transactions, will maintain the log file or log information into the different system, or maybe table, different table. Okay, so enforcing the complex referential integrity. So you can put the you can put the so what are the things you are performing like after performing the insert, I need to store that data into some other table. So you need to put the more logic into same PLSQL procedure. So instead of that, I can split that code into the what are the complexity of code I have that I can put into trigger. Okay, that I can put into trigger. So it automatically fire that. Okay, logging, auditing, both are same. Logging, so logging information, auditing information, both same. Okay, so data replicating into multiple tables. Okay, so if I am performing in the insert data into the employee table, okay, so if the employees is having from 10th department 20, 30, so I need to store that data into three different tables. In 10th department into how we did that in this way. So how we did in the 10th department separate table, 20, 30 separate table. So if you want to perform those type of actions, we'll use the triggers. Okay, we'll use the triggers. Okay, so prevent invalid data or transaction. So to restrict the invalid transactions or data, so I need to insert the valid data. Okay, I need to, you can able to put some conditions. So suppose if you are inside, if you don't have the inequal constraint. So first you need to whatever the data you are mentioning in the table, employee number. So take that while inserting the data into the employee table. Okay, before insert into EMP. Okay, take that employee ID, whatever the employee ID you are going to insert. Okay, check that select count star from employee where employee number equal to that employee number. If you put that, you will get the number of records for that employee number. If the value is greater than 1, it is having the duplicate. If the value is greater than 0, meaning is that that value is already present. That value is already present. So you can put the rise application errors. So how the exceptions is having, we can put some exception for that and we can raise that exception. So we have the constraints. So if you don't have the constraints, how will you achieve it? The same thing. Using the triggers, you can able to perform those type of actions. Okay, so we as of now I don't have that example here. So we'll do the practice with tomorrow. So if you really understand how to do that, we will see. Okay, so DDL triggers are triggers for the auditing and logging the DDL statements. Same, we no need this DDL triggers to block unwanted DDL statements. So unnecessarily trying to truncate or doing anyone, right? To restrict those type of things, we'll use the DDL triggers. Okay, so DDL triggers for that. And okay, system triggers mainly for auditing or logging. So every DDL trigger or DML trigger, so mainly we'll use for the auditing purpose. Okay, so automatic triggers of other events like send a email upon the data changes or job compilation status. So once the balance is updating, so the data is getting changed. So if the data change is happening, so we need to send the email or SMSs. So we'll use the triggers for that. Okay, so triggers for that. Okay, any DML statement like insert, update, delete, and existing of any database table. So if you are performing any DML operations, the trigger can automatically fire. Okay. So what other things we have? Okay. So types of triggers in the DML. Okay. So we are majorly concentrating on DML trigger. So the developer can majority of cases can work the DML triggers, not with any other triggers. Okay. So we have two types of triggers: row level trigger, statement level trigger. Okay, a row trigger is fired each time the table is affected by the triggers. Okay, so each time if you have like 100 records, so if you are updating like 10 records, so 10 records that every record so it can capture with a row level trigger. So the trigger will fire 10 times. If you are performing like 100 record updation, the trigger will fire for each and every row one time and store that information into the different table or perform the required action, whatever it may be. Okay, that is the row level trigger. Okay, so for example, if you update the statements, updates multiple rows of a table, okay, a row trigger is fired once for each row affected by the update statement. So if you have the 100 records, you are updating with 10 records, the row level trigger will fire the 10 times. So how many, if a trigger statement affects number of rows, so no rows, not number of rows, no rows. So the update, whatever the update you are performing, so that update does not updating any records. Okay, so a row trigger is not fired, executed. A row level trigger is not executed at all. If the data is going to impact, it may be all records, it may be a one record, it may be a 10 records, then only that trigger will fire. Okay, so we are saying if you are performing any DML operation, the triggers can fire. Okay, so meaning if the data is not updating anything, so you are not updating anything, so you are performing the update statement with zero record update. You are not changing at all any data. So in that place, the trigger won't fire. The trigger won't fire. Okay. So row triggers are useful if the code in the trigger action depends on the data provided by the trigger statement or rows that are affected. Okay. So for example, 15 to So 3 illustrators in the row that uses the value for each row affected by the trigger statement. Okay, if we have the 15 rows, if you are updating with 3 rows, that triggers will updated with affected with the 3 records. Okay, affected with the 3 records. Okay, so what we have other thing. So this is the syntax, how to create the row level trigger. Okay, how to create the row level trigger. So create or replace procedure name. So similar kind trigger name. So we have the events. Okay, the trigger. So whatever the action you are going to perform. Okay, so you are going to insert the data into the employee table. So before inserting to the employee information, I need to insert that particular employee is having related. You are trying to insert like a 40th department information. So if you are trying to insert the child record into the child table, so prior that you need to insert the parent information about the about the child in a parent table. Then only the data get inserted into the child table. Okay, so you got it right. So you need to put like a before or after. Okay, so after inserting the child record into the child table, I need to insert the child's parent information into the parent table. That is also possible to using this. After performing the action, I need to do any other task. I will use the after trigger. So before performing the task, I need to insert the data into the different table. I will use the before trigger. Okay. So these are the things before or after. So before insert or after insert or before update or after update based on that. So instead of view, this is a trigger. This is the trigger for views. We no need this, just I simply mentioned here. Okay, so you may use both also, before or after. Okay, before or after. Okay, here insert or update or delete. You can able to use three also. Three also. Okay, so now I am mentioning like a of column name on table name. So I said like a of employee number is null on table name. So okay, referencing the old column as O, new column as N. Okay, old column as O, new column as N. So while creating the trigger, okay, while creating the trigger, so the trigger will help you to maintain the audit log. So the audit log meaning you can store the data into some other table. While updating that, you are inserting into different table or you are updating into different table. Okay, so here you are using two tables. Here you are using two tables. Okay, to store the data into the backup table. Your actual table and backup table are logged in. Okay, we have two tables. So if you are trying to insert the data into the actual table, okay, so whatever the data you are going to insert, that need to store into the backup table as well. So backup table will be new table. New data you are going to insert into the actual table and as well as this table. Okay, if you are trying to update the data, you are trying to update the data. So whatever the actual table we have, that is the old information. Whatever the new information you are trying to push that is the new information. So whether I need to, while updating the table, I need to store that as a old information into the backup table or the new information into the backup table based on my requirement. So if you want to store both also, you can able to store that. So to store the old information, you will use the old dot column name of the table. New dot column name. So it will store the new column information, what the information you are going to update. Okay, so we have that. So for each row, if you mention this keyword, it treat like I said, this is the row level trigger. This is the row level trigger. So I said like a when class. When class. When. So when commission is null. When department number equal to 10. When department number equal to 30. So you can perform the multiple conditions using when condition. Okay. So then you will use the declare keyword to declare the declaration statements. It may be a variable declaration or anything. Okay, so then you will start the main section with the executable statements. It may be insert, update, delete, select query. So whatever it may be, we'll use that. So if I get any error, so we need to use the exception for that. We'll use the exception handling statement. Okay, here this is the row level trigger. So here, if you see in the trigger syntax having any for each row, treat like I said, this is the row level trigger. Okay, if you don't have this trigger like for each row keyword, that is the statement level trigger. Statement level meaning is table level trigger. That is the row level trigger. If you have the for each row, if it is not having for each row, then it is a statement level trigger. Okay. See some example like a create or replace. Okay, syntax create or replace trigger name. Okay, so I'm giving some explanation about the syntax. Okay, so create or replace an existing trigger with the trigger name. So if the trigger name is already present, it drop and recreate that using the create or replace keyword. Okay, so before, after, instead of, this specifies when the trigger will be executed. So the instead of class is used for creating the trigger on view. Okay, this before or after will help you. So whether I need to perform the before that action or after that action. Okay, after that action. So I will mention that. Okay, so of class name, of column name. So this specifies the column name that will be updated. So what that? So on which column you are going to put the trigger. So whether I need to use for one column, whether I need to use the table, that you will mention that. Okay, so on table name. So this specifies the name of the table associated with the okay, with the trigger. Okay, so referencing old as O, new as N. So this allows you to refer a new and old values for various DML statements. Okay, while inserting the data into the table, you will have only new data. Okay, if you are updating that, you may have the old and new. If you are deleting that, you may have only delete in the sense only old information. Got it? Agree, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So such as insert, update, delete. Okay, such as insert, update, delete. So various DML statements. It may be such as insert, update, delete. Okay. For each row. This specifies the row level trigger. Okay, that is the trigger will execute for each row being affected. So how many records it is affecting with the trigger, that many times the trigger can fire. Okay, so that is that. Otherwise, the trigger will execute just once when the select statement is executed. If you don't have this keyword for each row, so for all the statements, it will execute only one time. Because that will be a table level key, which is called a table level trigger. Okay, so when condition, this provides a condition for rows, for which the trigger would be fired. Okay, so this provides a condition for rows. So if you are updating or inserting, So when department number equal to 10, then the trigger need to fire. Okay, you may have the department, so employee table is having more than one departments. So I need to maintain the trigger for only 10th department employees, not for the remaining employees. So in that case, when DEPT number equal to 10, then I will write the condition. So whatever the things you are updating, take the department value from that insert query or update query and pass that 10 equal to 10, 20 equal to 10, 20, 30 equal to 10 like that. If the when condition satisfies, then only it will come out of the process, come into the process. Then else it won't come into the process. Okay, so this is about the syntax explanation. This is about the syntax explanation. Okay, so tracking tables. So now we have these values. Now, so I'm maintaining some log table. Okay, log table. So I'm putting some old shell, new shell, diff shell. So I'm creating with these tables. Okay, now I'm creating with these tables. I don't have any information. Okay, I have created the table, employee number, employee name, old salary, new salary, different salary. So how much if you update that 100 to 1000. So there is a different salary is 900. We will get that. So higher history record timestamp. So when the data is inserted into the history table or log table, so you will use that. You will find out that. Okay. So now I'm creating the trigger fire values. Okay. So C1 is the column name, trigger type, fired time. So when it is fired. Okay. To find out that. So I'm creating some sequence. And I'm trying to display the values. You don't have any information in this. Okay, now I created to track that. So statement level trigger is firing how many times? Row level trigger is firing how many times? So how to update that, how to track that, how to insert. Okay, so we'll see. Now we taken as that example. Okay, now we taken this information. Okay. So now I'm taking this information. I created that details. So make it as a trigger with the EMP underscore info. EMP underscore info is my trigger name. So EMP underscore trigger name. Okay, so we have the trigger like a, so create or replace trigger name, EMP underscore info underscore changes. This is the trigger name. Okay, I said like a before. So now I am using like before trigger. So what are the things you are mentioning? So what are the things you are mentioning that need to be checked in this prior? So what are the action you are going to perform some DML? So prior that I need to perform my action. Okay. So before delete or insert or update. So whatever the data you are going to perform, whatever the DML operations you are performing in the EMP table, DML insert, update, delete. So prior that I'm checking some values. So for each row. So meaning it's a row level trigger. Okay, so I declare the variable sal underscore difference as the number. This is a variable. Okay, now I am saying like a sal difference equal to, so new sal and old sal. Okay, if you update the information, so where update employee equal to, okay, salary equal to 10,000, where name equal to Shiva or name equal to Smith. You updated that. So prior that, what the Smith may having some different salary, right? So you are updating with that. So I'm taking the difference of the old salary minus new salary or new salary minus update old salary. Okay, so I will take that and I will see that in, so I will see that in things. Okay, so I'm putting that value into sal underscore difference. Okay, so sal underscore difference. Okay, insert into employee log table. So I have the columns. So whatever the columns I have, I mentioned is all the things here. Column list. Okay, so I said like so if I am inserting, so you will have the new information first. Okay, if you are updating, so you may have the new information, you may have the old information, both. Okay, so now I am going to store. So if that, so if you are deleting that, if you are deleting that information, you may have the only old value information, old table information. So if the old deleting in the sense, you won't get the new employee information. So it check for this. If the value is not, new values does not have, it will check for the old value. So you will get the old values. Okay, so here I am mentioning old dot employee name, old dot salary, new dot salary. Okay, so and sal difference. Okay, old salary you will store into the old salary column. Okay, new salary column will store into this table. So whatever the difference we have in this, you are mentioning into this diff underscore salary column as a sal underscore difference. You are storing into sal underscore difference and storing into this column. Okay, so to maintain the hystrect timestamp, when that record is inserted into the log table, to maintain that, we'll using the sys timestamp is the function to capture the current date and time. Okay, now I'm creating the trigger with that. Now the trigger is created. So if you want to drop that, we'll use the drop trigger name. Okay, now I created that. Okay, so to perform that, okay, you can perform the like update emp set equal to sal. I'm not updating anything. Simply, I'm updating with the same value again. Salary equal to salary. 14 record has been updated. Okay. Now check in this table. So emp underscore log table. Okay. emp underscore log table. Select. Okay, so it fired the 14 times, the record is inserted 14 times. See here, old salary, new salary is same. No difference. Diff salary is 0. You inserted the correct information, right? Now I'm make it like I say, I'm updating with the sal plus 100. Okay. In the employee table. So there is a difference like 800, 900, 100. There is some difference. You are getting that information. Okay, so I'm cancelling that. Okay, now I'm cancelling that. Okay, so now this is about the row level trigger firing. So we'll see with different conditions. Okay, this is another trigger. This is another trigger, create or replace trigger EMP info changes using when condition, using when conditions. So I'm taking this employee table and writing the trigger on the same table using the when condition. Okay, so into this table. Okay, so I'm removing I'm truncating the employee table. Truncate table. Okay, so here also I'm maintaining like so whenever I'm updating with the 7902 employee information, then only I need to maintain the log. Okay, so now I created with trigger. Okay, so I'm performing the same update statement here. Okay, so I'm performing the same update statement, shall equal to shall. Okay, now check in the employee table, employee log table. No. I need to truncate this. Okay, so I need to drop this table. Drop trigger. I need to drop this trigger, and I need to truncate this as well. As we have the two triggers, so it is storing the information using that trigger. Okay, so now I'm updating that. Table is truncated. Check this. You will get the only one record. So you are performing like a more number of records. I'm not capturing that information. So I'm capturing only required information, what the data I have. What the data I have. So I need capture for only 7902 employee information only. So put the condition like when department number equal to 10, 20, 30. So what the department information you need to capture. Okay, so we'll use that using when condition. This is the way you will use the when condition. Okay, so what we have other things. EMP info changes with the case statement. So case statement. So we can put the case statements. So I'm taking this trigger. I need to drop the existing trigger. So what the trigger I have mentioned, EMP info changes. More trigger for that. So when trigger, I cancel that. Okay, so EMP info changes with the case statement. Okay, so I'm doing with the same thing. Okay, I'm doing with the same statement. So I'm putting some additional statement as a case. Okay, so the interviewers may ask like sometimes, what is difference between case and decode? Case and decode. The case statement will work for the equi conditions and non-equi conditions. Decode can work with the only equi condition. Correct? This only one example we are going to set in the as of now we will see in the SQL till SQL we will see only that difference. Now we can see other difference. So case statement in the PLSQL it can use directly. Whereas in the decode you cannot able to use directly like this. Try to use that department, put some condition anything. So you can use the decode function either it is working or not. So try it your end by the later. Okay. So case statement you can able to use directly in the PLSQL code. This is the another example. So another difference. Okay. So here we are mentioning when inserting. So inserting is the keyword to perform the insert statement. So if you want to perform the insert statement, we'll use the inserting keyword. So the system can automatically understand. So while performing the insert operation, it will come to this statement. It will come to this process and it run this. It will run this. Okay, if you are updating that, so the system can automatically understand and come to this place and it will run that. Okay, so if you want to perform these type of actions, we'll use the case statement. So while inserting, updating, you can understand with the case statement, put the condition. So required insert statement you are maintaining here. Required insert statement you are maintaining here. So based on your requirements. So what it is saying? Comments. So comments is a invalid identifier. Okay, so to understand that, so added with the comments column in we need to add the comments column into the emp underscore log table. Enter table emp underscore log. Okay, now I'm trying to create the trigger. Now the trigger is created. Okay, so now I'm updating that information. So we will get the update information. Now the 14 rows is created. Check in the employee log table. Now see, updating. You are getting the updated information. You are getting the 15 records. So before the like when trigger is fired, right? That information is already present in the employee table. Okay. So now that updating information is present in this. Okay. So if you insert the data, you will maintain the data using commands like inserting this employee information. So whatever the records you are performing, it gets stored in this place. Okay. So write with your hand. So I will try to load this video and put that in pass and write the code from your hand using your hand. Okay. So it's my request. So you can able to simply copy and paste that. It's not the good way. Okay. So we see about the case statement. Okay, so if we insert that, if you update that, see, you will get the 3 records. I'm truncating that. So I'm truncating the employee log information. So you will get the 3 different things. Okay, if we have any, so I inserted the duplicate records in the employee table and I updated that. And I am deleting the 14 records, duplicated records. Okay. So what is happening in the employee log table? Check with your end. Okay. So check with this. You are getting totally how many? 56. 14 into 4. 14 into 4. So inserting like a 14 records. Inserting like a 14 records. Updating 14 records up to this. Again, you have that. Deleting like a how many records we have this. Okay. So this is about the almost triggers we use. We have other things. Okay, so create or replace trigger EMP info changes. Okay, frequency track. How many times the trigger is firing? How many the trigger is firing? how many trigger is firing. How many times the trigger is firing, that you need to track. So we'll use this example for. Okay, so I'm creating this trigger. Okay, now I created with that and I'm truncating the log table. Okay, so I'm inserting the data into the employee table. I committed that. Check in the trigger fire. So trigger fire values. So to track that, we are using some log table. So select star from values. So row level trigger. 14 times it fired. No, I already created with the starting of the time. So I already created with the starting of the time with the. So this is not. I created the table. These are the tables. Drop trigger fire values. To track that, I already created. So what that sequence is required. Okay, I created the sequence also. Trig underscore sequence. Okay, so I'm firing with that. I'm using the existing, not existing tables. I created with now only. Okay, see here I'm calling to understand that. So I'm simply calling like how many times it is firing. So to understand that, I'm using the sequence name dot next var. Okay, I'm hard coded with the row level. So row level or statement level. It's a row level trigger. So for each row we have. So that's why I mentioned as a row level. Okay, and we can put the statement level and we can verify with that as well. Okay, so this is the till now we see about the row level trigger. Okay, we are left with the row statement level trigger, not with row level. We finish that. Okay, so a statement level trigger is fired when a trigger event occurs on a table, regardless of how many rows are affected. In other words, a statement level trigger executes once for each transaction. So once for each transaction, you are performing like a group of DMLs. All the DMLs are treating like as a one transaction. Okay, so whatever the transactions you are performing, so for each transaction, it will fire one time. If you are inserting one record, it will fire one time. So if you are inserting 100 records at a time using select query, for all 100 records, it will fire one time. So if you update like 10 records, it will fire only one time. Okay, so meaning is that, okay, so see here. Example, if you update 1000 rows in a table, then the statement level trigger on that table would only be executed once. Okay, so a statement level trigger is not often to use for the data related activities like auditing the changes. Okay, so to auditing the changes, if you want to track the audit logs, we'll use the row level trigger, not with the statement level trigger. Okay, so the auditing the changes of the data in the associated table. So we won't use the statement level trigger for auditing. Okay, so it's typically used to enforce the extra security measures on the kind of transaction that may be performed on a table. So if you want to put more secure for the transactions, so to track that DMLs, we'll use the row level trigger. So to put more security for that, we'll use the we'll use the statement level trigger. Okay, so this is about the statement level trigger definition. Okay. Okay, so here a statement level trigger is fired once, once on behalf of the trigger statement, regardless of the number of rows in the table. So the trigger is statement effects even if no rows are affected. Okay, for example, if a delete statement deletes the several rows from the table, so a statement level delete trigger is fired only once, okay, regardless of how many rows are deleted on the table. Okay, so statement triggers are useful if the code in the trigger actions does not depend on the data provided by the triggering statement. Okay, are the rows affected? For example, if a trigger makes a complex security check on the current time or user, or if a trigger generates a single audit record based on the types of triggering statement or a statement is trigger use. Okay, so this statement level trigger will use for the statement level trigger will use for oh, okay, so statement triggers are useful. So when it will useful? So you are performing some DML operation on the table. Okay, that need to be checked with the. So you are trying to insert the data into the employee information. So the employee need to join. So after 9:30 to till 5:30. So the employees joining operations need to happen with the 5:30 to 9:30 to 5:30. Okay, so in that case, I can use the statement level trigger. So before inserting the data into the employee table, I can capture the time. I can capture the time using the sys timestamp and capture the time of that. So I can extract using extract function. We have the extract function to capture the time of the date. So in the date and time column, you can able to capture minutes. You can able to capture the time, hours. Okay, you can capture the hours and check with condition. Put some if condition. If the date, so if the hours is greater than or equal to 9:30, then allow. Okay, if less than that, put some raise exception error. Put some exception. Okay, so then the program can start from there itself. You cannot able to perform the DMLs on that employee table. Okay, those type of operations, it will help very helpful for that. You are providing more security to the data. Okay, so for that we will use the statement level triggers. Okay, so what is the current time? So what is the user is updating on the table? So if you want to know what is the user is updating on the table, so you can find the select user from dual. You will get the username. So he is updating that. So you can store that in the audit log table. Okay, who is performing the DML? That you need to track for all the record once. For that, we will use the statement level trigger. Okay, so what we have other things for this. Okay, syntax. Everything will same. You won't get the new keyword, old keyword here. These are the row, not the row level trigger. These are the statement level trigger. Okay, so create or replace trigger name before or after. So trigger event, insert, update, delete. On table name follows preceding the another trigger name. So if you want to use any another triggers, need to find the row level trigger or anything. Okay, you can put that triggers here. Okay, so using when condition, we already seen that when condition. Okay, declaration statements, whatever it may be. Okay, begin executable statements, that is your wish, what are the conditions you need to put, exception handling. Okay, this is are all the same. You haven't seen any for each row keyword here, for each row. If I get that, that is the row level trigger. If it is not there in the sense, that is the statement level trigger. Okay, that is the statement level trigger. So Oracle statement level trigger example. Okay, so I am creating some customer table and putting like, okay, suppose if you want to restrict the users to update the credit limit of customers from 28th to 31st of every month, 31st of every month. So so that you can close the financial month. Okay, so this is the customer table. So the customer limit you cannot able to increase. So how can we say this? Okay, so treat like I say some employee table we have salary table, salary release table. So if you are working in the real time, so the people will say salary cycle will be 15th to 15 to 50. Okay, if you, so the time sheet can fill before the 15th or 20 or 21st. So the salary cycle will be 20th of every month. 20th to this month, 20th to next month, 19th. This is your salary cycle. Okay, so once the salary will updated in the salary table. Okay, so you won't like after updating the salary into the salary table after 21st. So whatever the date you want to increase the salary for any employee, that need to be affected into the current month in the sense you need to increase the salary before 20th of a current month. Then that salary will affected with the updated one. So if you want to increase or decrease the salary, so you need to be update prior to the 19th of this month. Then the salary get credited with the salary will affected with the current month. The salary will affected with the current month. If you update the from 21st onwards, the salary won't come to current cycle. You need to restrict in that way. You need to restrict in that way. So whatever the bonus you are getting or increment you are getting, so if you are getting like after 19th, that salary cycle need to be updated from the next month. Okay, so it is not, it need to restrict. You cannot update. So after 19th, after 20th, or maybe. So you can able to, if you are into the prior that, you can able to update that. So if you want to put those type of conditions, we'll use the statement level trigger for that. Okay, so if you want to restrict the users to update the credit limit of customers from 28th to 31st of every month. So it may be a 20th or 10, there may be a billing cycle of the customers, credit card generation, bill generation. So if you are increasing that, so if you are increasing the credit limit, so there may be a to get the discrepancies in the billing information. There may be a discrepancies. There may be a, to get the billing discrepancies. To avoid that, so I can restrict this. Okay, 28th to 31st of every month. So you can, so that can you close the financial month. So I want to restrict the credit limits. To update the credit limits, I need to put the restrictions for that. Okay, to implement or enforce this rule or logic. Okay, here we need to use the statement level trigger. So if you want to put those type of rules, we'll use the statement level triggers. Got it? So see, so this is the example. Okay, create or replace trigger, trigger name, customer underscore credit underscore trigger. Okay, so I'm putting the trigger. Okay, so I have my credit customer table and I'm putting the trigger before update of credit limit. So I'm checking for that credit limit updation. So I can able to change my name, I can enable to change my address, customer address, anything, but not with the credit limit, not with the salary column. Okay, so for that I will use the off credit limit on customer table. Okay, so I'm saying like a in day of month. So I'm saying like a in day of month as a variable I declared with the number keyword. Okay, so day of the month, if you want to find out the day of the month, so use the extract function, extract day from the sysdate. So it will provide the, so 15, so now we are into, so run from your end. I'm not executing this all, you can check with your end. So just I'm showing this example. So if I run this, what will like it? Select dual. We'll get the, so what the day we have? 3. This is the third day. Okay, this is the third day. So if it get the 19 or 20, if the value, so now we are storing into this variable, this value into some variable. Okay, so in underscore day of month. So we are storing that value into this 3. Okay, if in day month between 28 and 31, then I am restricting it. If you want to restrict for 1 to 3, put like a 1 and 3. Then rise application error. Rise application error. So rise application error is the process, is the procedure to stop the program. To stop the program. So we have the exceptions block. You are writing the exception block. So if we get the no data found, you can insert the data. So whatever the data you are missing in that, you can insert that. Else, I don't want to perform any action. I need to stop the program. So if you want to stop the program, we'll use the rise application error with the error number cannot update customer credit limit from 20th to 31st of the days. So you can put your own message, user message. Okay. Any doubt till now? So practice with this. I already executed these commands. I put this in PPT. Okay. So I will post this video. Okay. Definitely you people need to write and need to see. Okay. So that will help you to restrict the things. So then you can update the things. Check with us the update is happening or not. Okay, so then try to update with that, the update is happening or not, verify from your end. Okay, so this is for another example. Okay, create or replace trigger customer underscore credit underscore track. Okay, so here I am saying like first create a new trigger with a customer underscore track. Okay, the R replace modifies. So okay, so this is the example. So what that explanation I have mentioned in this. So what are the trigger I have written in this ups case? So I have provided the example.